Welcome to my class. We are doing Unit 2, continuing on with that. We finished with collection and organization, and in the last class I introduced what is known as the presentation of data. And in the presentation of data, we introduced it as there are 4 ways of presenting data. What are they? One is what? Textual, tabular, then the third one was diagrammatic, and the fourth was graphic. So in this, we are going to do what is known as the tabulation, tabular method of presenting data. Now, what is a table? Table is arranging the data into rows and columns to make it easily understandable, simply put. So please have a look. Okay. So in the broadest sense, says M. Blair, defining tabulation as it is an orderly arrangement of data in columns and rows. After all, what are the objectives of tabulation? Okay, so the main objectives of tabulations tabulation is, that is, complex data is simplified. The chief objective of classification is to simplify complex data and make them easily understandable. So the chief objective of tabulation as well as classification, as I just pointed out. Okay, and the second is, another objective is to present the classified data in an orderly and systematic manner, because this presentation helps in comparison between different observations. It facilitates in comparison. Then another objective could be that it helps in the analysis and interpretation of data. So it helps to compute different statistical measures such as averages, dispersion, correlation, etc. So once you table it, you put it in a tabular form, it becomes simpler. And then of course, as again, let me reiterate that it facilitates the presentation of data. That is, it helps in the presentation of data further. I mean, in diagrams and graphs, when you have it well tabulated, it becomes very simple to present data into graphs and diagrams. Now, what are the advantages of tabulation? So objectives are these. So what are the advantages of tabulation? Of course, one is that it is an important way of showing data in a brief manner, in a condensed manner, and that can be easily understood. Instead of reading 5 pages of text to understand something, you see a table, and you can, if you have this habit of looking at the table, you can easily, in your mind, the text will come very clearly. You'll be able to it'll make you understand what you are trying to read into the data. Now, of course, if it is that, then you are saving time and place, because the data is in a condensed form. The reader gets a fair idea, fast idea of the mass of data at one glance. Okay, and then it's very helpful in comparison. Since a table is divided into various parts, and for each part there are totals and subtotals, the relationship between different parts of data can be studied much more easily with the help of a table than without it. So that is also one advantage, as we can see. Another thing, it helps, it makes it faster, the work of statistical analysis, in that of, say, finding out, say, measures of central tendencies, and if you're doing that with the help of that, or we are talking about correlation, if you're talking about index numbers and all of that. Okay, and then of course it's very good for reference. In fact, even when you're going for an exam, if you write down, make a if you present your whole notes in a tabular form, it's a very easy revision that you can do before entering an examination, if you're going for an exam. So that really helps. And of course, the tabulated data can be easily checked up, which means we can absolutely detect errors or omissions which are there. We can find out and we can make it good. We can do that. Now, before I just close this class, let me just tell you a few lines. After all, what is the difference between classification and tabulation? Because after all, it seems almost like the same, but they are different. Now look at this. Now for classification, data are classified before tabulation. Okay, with that, tabulation becomes easy. So tabulation is a step after classification. Only classified data can be presented in a tabular form. That is there. Then what is the objective of classification? Collected data are classified according to their characteristics. That is done here. And in tabulation, it is a process of arranging the classified data into different columns and rows. Then classification is a method of statistical analysis, and tabulation is a process of presentation of data. Okay, so classification of data is like when you're talking about organization. Okay, classification is like organization of data, so that statistical analysis becomes easier, and whereas tabulation is a process of presentation of data. Okay, so well, with that in view, it is so important to know that that in statistics, tables are so important. That is, tabular presentation has its own place.